Good evening, every pony. I'm Golden Microphone, and you're listening to FanFiction Fridays on Oatstralia on Air Live. I am very, very sorry that this show has been so delayed in coming to you, but a few things have come up recently that, well, were somewhat unavoidable. One of them being a rather nasty turn of events in my psyche. But enough of that. I'm feeling a lot better now, and hopefully all of you are as well. Welcome, dear listeners, to the return of FanFiction Fridays to your glorious Friday evening/morning, no matter where you are in the world. Over the next hour or so, we will be reading a few great stories such as Octavia Takes the Bus, My Little Avenger, and a neat little something that I found called The Secret of Celestia. I think you'll all enjoy that one in particular. I'll be handing that one over to my good friend Pegasus, who seems to be taking a nap at the moment, so we're just going to let him sleep in for a little bit. Let's see. There is some news that I'd like to share with you all first. For starters, oh yes, of course, must switch over. There we go. Okay. Now, some news that I must give unto you. For starters, PonyCon AU's tickets have finally gone on sale. I may have mentioned this already on the Tumblr. If you haven't seen that yet, please go right ahead and have a look-see. It's pretty much available for everyone to have a look at. Ticket prices are, well, let's see, what are they there? $35 and $45 each, I believe. $35 for a single day, that is Saturday or Sunday. And I think is it 45 of, I seem to have gotten my prices wrong. Either way, check out the Tumblr, have a look at PonyCon's Tumblr, they've got all the prices listed there for you. But right now it's an early bird special, so if you get in early and you didn't make it onto the Indiegogo page, for whatever reason there may have been, you can get your tickets cheaply before they go up to their full original prices. I believe it's at the end of next week, so by next FanFiction Fridays you should have your tickets, at least before the price hike. Dear me. Speaking of, unfortunately, it appears that I, Golden Microphone, have lost my position on the PonyCon AU team. Yes, I have done so, and unfortunately, willingly, let myself go from the PonyCon AU team. It is a sad day, and yeah, that pretty much, well, for a day or two at least, it destroyed me. I will freely admit I was kind of devastated. I felt, well, I felt bad, very bad. And for some reason it seems that someone doesn't have any sound. Dear Feather, are you sure you're okay over there? Hang on. So I don't have any sound. What is going on here? Well, none of my settings, none of my settings seem to be out of whack here. Do you have everything plugged in over there? Fellows and gentle colts, the Great Feather is with us tonight. Not to talk you up too much, this is my show, of course. Haha. Anyway, after having voluntarily left the PonyCon AU team, I was considering, well, not supporting them anymore. Then again, I was in a really bad state, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I was in a bad state. And, well, yeah, I just didn't want to do any shows anymore. I didn't want anything to do with the con anymore. I was a mess. I even wrote some lyrics about being a failure in the Brony fandom. I may in fact sing these lyrics at one stage or another. You know, when I'm feeling a little better and a lot less melancholic. I know, you're all here to listen to me read stories rather than talk about my personal problems, but But there is a silver lining here. There is a silver lining. Here's how it is. Here's the fantastic announcement. Well, it's not really an announcement, so keep this on the download. Nah, don't worry, this is all going on YouTube anyway. So, apparently, I say, this is all rumors. They're having trouble with their current MC. Yes, that's right. They're having trouble with their current MC, the Master of Ceremonies, the person who's going to be on stage introducing everyone. That is, all the musicians, all the acts, everything at the con. And guess who suggested himself to be a new MC if anything were to happen? That's right, myself. Not to be a little braggart, but I think I'd make a pretty good MC, wouldn't you say? Either way, whether I do make it or not, I will be there at PonyCon, regardless of all of this silly psychosomatic stuff happening in my head. I will be there, at the very least, in the capacity of being an assistant to the musical director, Luke Gary, that is Kuroshia himself. Yeah, that's right. Kuroshia is handling the music scene on Saturday. At least I'm fairly sure he is. He hasn't really told me much. You know, not being part of the team. I'm just throwing this in. I'm just hammering it home. I really am melancholic. Maybe I do need to take a sip of this drink and not so much of this bubble pipe. That's some good bubble pipe. Either way, I do believe it's about time that we started on a story. The first one tonight being My Little Avenger, Chapter 4. I will post the Google Doc, yes, this is in fact a Google Doc, into the chat here. There we go. For everyone to read along with. If you've missed out on the last couple chapters, which we've had 3 of them thus far, here's a quick review. Big Mac went on a walk on his birthday, a hike up the mountains, because, you know what? Why not? It's his birthday, he can do what he wants, and he wanted to get in touch with nature. He went up the mountain, was chased by a wild Ursa Minor into a cave, and he found, of all things, a walking stick that, when struck on the ground, transformed him into the ancient thunder god himself, Thor. Yep, Asgardian ponies. What do you think? All manner of magical ponies felt this tremendous transformation and the huge influx of power, turning Big Mac into an alicorn. Yep, Big Mac's an alicorn before Twilight Sparkle. Oh, went there. That was uncalled for. After that, Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie, of all ponies, is apparently related to Loki by a lot of great, etc. grandfathers, that sort of thing. And with that link, we're able to explain her Pinkie sense at least, and she's able to help Thor / Big Mac learn a bit more about his powers, how to control weather, a bit about flight, all that good stuff. Now, however, Trixie, yes, the very same Trixie, has stumbled upon Loki, and Loki has made her his apprentice. In the last chapter, Trixie met up with Heavyweight, one of the bullies that had taunted Rainbow Dash back in her academy days, and has offered him a gift that he simply can't refuse. We now go on to Chapter 4 of My Little Avengers. Rainbow Dash pumped her wings, trying to gain altitude. Her wings burned, and she gasped for air as she tried to climb high enough for her signature move, the Sonic Rainbow. Surely no pony could keep up with her then. It didn't matter, actually. Long before she reached the required height, she felt a heavy impact on her side, sending her spinning through the air as her tormentor laughed. Dash barely managed to right herself before crashing, glaring at the pony who had been toying with her for the past 10 minutes. "What's wrong, Rainbow Crash?" Heavyweight teased, grinning so wide Dash felt hope his head might split open. "Can't keep up?" He cackled evilly. Something had happened to Heavyweight. He was much larger than a Pegasus, than any pony, really, that had a right to be. His wings were the size of an alicorn's, and he was just a few inches smaller than Princess Celestia herself. But these mere changes in appearance were nothing compared to the one fact that wouldn't leave Rainbow Dash's mind. He was faster than her. Stronger, too, but that was nothing new. He'd always been stronger, but Rainbow Dash had never met any pony faster than her, especially not Deadweight. She'd always been the fastest, ever since her first sonic rainbow back in flight school. But now... Dash went into a dive, trying to escape the larger Pegasus, but Heavyweight just laughed as he chased her. They zoomed down low through Ponyville, startling ponies who'd scattered from their path. Dash tried to ditch him by zigzagging through the streets, hoping he'd get lost, but Ponyville didn't have a very complex layout. Finally, as she ducked around Rose's flower shop, it seemed she'd at last lost her pursuer. She landed to catch her breath, only for Heavyweight to, impossibly, burst through the wall behind her, smashing it to splinters. "Come on, Rainbow Crash!" he taunted as Dash took to the air again. "Don't tell me you're running from a fight! Come on, hit me!" Rainbow didn't stop fleeing, but she glanced over her shoulder to spit back. "I would if you'd just hold still and fought fair, dumbbell!" With a snarl, Heavyweight launched himself at her, smashing into her hard enough to send her sprawling on the hard cobblestones. "My name's not Dumbbell!" he roared, and the windows of the surrounding building shook from the force of his roar. A crowd was beginning to gather, but the terrified ponies kept their distance. "And it's not Heavyweight, either! I'm the Wrecker now!" He reared up, as if preparing to stomp down on Dash with his front hooves, "'cause I'm about to wreck your flank!" "I say thee nay!" The air suddenly whooshed from the self-proclaimed Wrecker's lungs as a sudden impact sent him sprawling. What kind of coward would attack a defenseless mare while she lies stricken on the ground, no less? Ignoring Rainbow's protests at being called defenseless, the Wrecker righted himself to glare at his attacker, only to splutter slightly. Hovering several inches above the ground was an enormous alicorn stallion, a stone hammer tied to his hoof. That must have been what hit him, he thought vaguely. Who the hey are you?" the Wrecker spluttered, trying to cover his nervousness. The alicorn merely glared at him. "I am the god of thunder, one of the last of the old gods. I am the son of the god King Odin and master of the skies. I am Thor!" He rose higher in the air, pointing his hammer at the Pegasus. "And you, mortal, are not welcome in Ponyville." The Wrecker felt a surge of irrational anger shoot through him. He wasn't certain why, but he was suddenly filled with an all-consuming hatred for this alicorn. The Wrecker was not a pony given to introspection, so reacted the only way he knew how. "Well, so, whatever the hey your name is, butt out of this! This ain't any of your business, and if you don't move your flank, I'll drive it into the ground." Thor gave him a contemptuous look. "If thou truly thinkst thyself the equal of the Lord of Storms, thou art welcome to try thy strength. Be warned, however, I will show no mercy." "Oh, just shut up!" the Wrecker roared, launching himself at Thor. He kicked the ground as he took off, leaving a small crater behind, and the wind from his wake knocked out several nearby windows. He shot across the street at the larger alicorn, and they collided with a resounding thud. Thor slid back several feet, but his hooves on the Wrecker's shoulders held the oversized Pegasus at bay. The Wrecker glared at his foe as he struggled to gain leverage, but his strength could only match Thor's, not overpower him. "Your strength is commendable," Thor commented as he grappled with the Wrecker. It is a rare pony who can match an alicorn in strength. Strongest Pegasus in Cloudsdale. The wrecker grunted, beating his wings in an attempt to push the larger pony back. Impressive. However, Thor's horn began to glow with golden light, and his eyes took on a similar color. You are still a mortal, and I am still a god! There was a loud crack and a smell of ozone as a point-blank lightning bolt leapt from Thor's horn and landed point-blank in the chest of the wrecker. The powerful Pegasus was propelled backwards, twitching violently for several seconds before he recovered, beating his wings to keep from hitting the ground. Before he could fully recover, however, a vicious, underhanded swing of Thor's hammer caught him under the chin, sending him into the air. The wrecker righted himself mid-flight and desperately tried to flee. Pegasus turned into a brown blur as he used his incredible new speed to try and leave Ponyville before his more powerful foe caught up with him. Thor was having none of that. Rather than chase the Pegasus, Thor lifted his hammer to the sky and focused. The skies darkened with storm clouds, the ominous rumbling of thunder filling the air as the wind began to howl. A powerful crosswind blew over the wrecker, sending him tumbling through the air and driving him back to the ground. The wrecker glared at Thor as he recovered from his emergency landing. "Oh, that's how you want to play it? Fine!" He launched himself at Thor, but rather than attack him directly, he spun about the alicorn at breakneck speeds, stirring the air into a furious tornado. After several revolutions, the wrecker exited the vortex, grinning broadly. "Get out of that one, sucker!" he laughed, though he doubted Thor could hear him over the winds. Suddenly, a blue streak shot out of the top of the hurricane, the powerful wake from the alicorn's flight tearing the hurricane apart. Thor ascended up, past the clouds, vanishing from sight for a moment. Then he suddenly shot down from a storm cloud, a bolt of lightning following closely in his wake. The wrecker, realizing what was about to happen, flared his wings and tried to escape, but it was far too late. Thor passed just over his head, and the bolt of lightning in his wake slammed into the wrecker's body, knocking him clear off his hooves. The powerful bolt sent the wrecker tumbling before he collapsed to the ground in a smoking heap. Thor walked over to him calmly, standing over him as the wrecker feebly tried to fly away. Thor gave him a casual swat with the hoof that didn't have a hammer, knocking him back to the ground. The wrecker trembled feebly as he looked into the pitiless eyes of the Thunder God. "Please, don't kill me," he whimpered. I just wanted to be the best." "I told ye before, I have no mercy for cowards and braggarts like you," Thor growled. The crowd of terrified ponies that had been watching all drew in breath at once, like a single creature. After a moment, Thor sighed. "But I cannot kill a helpless foe, not even one as pathetic as ye be. You fought well for a mortal, so I will grant you your life." A wave of Mjolnir caused the winds to calm and the skies to clear, returning the weather to its sunny state. He turned away from the wrecker, scanning the crowd. "Twilight Sparkle, art thou watching?" A clearly nervous purple unicorn stepped forward from the crowd. That's me, sir, your highness." "Thor will do, Lady Sparkle. I am no king, even if I were to hold little patience for formality. Come forth. I require your assistance. I believe this pony's strength comes from an enchantment, and I have little knowledge of such matters. I will require your aid to undo it." "Oh, yes, of course." Twilight hurried over, leaning over the beaten Pegasus. The wrecker didn't even stir as Twilight's horn lit up. "Okay. I can feel the enchantment. It's... wow. I've never seen a spell this complicated before. Or this powerful. I can probably unwind it, but it might... Whoa!" There was a sudden flash of sickly green magic from the defeated colt's forehead as a strange symbol traced itself in green on his brow. It was familiar to Thor. A twisting green snake in the shape of a stylized S, the mark of Loki. The powerful magic contained in the symbol leapt from the wrecker's forehead towards Twilight's horn, but Thor was faster. His hammer intercepted the bolts of magic, and they fizzled harmlessly against its surface. "Art thou all right, Lady Sparkle?" Thor asked, lowering his hammer. "Yes, I'm fine," Twilight replied, shaking her head clear of the magic's disturbing influence. "That was intense. I've never felt magic that evil. Yes, that's it exactly. There was something very wrong about that spell." Twilight shuddered. I think it was designed to attack my magic. To shut it down, I think, but ponies need that magic to live." Her eyes widened in realization. "Oh my gosh, that's that's horrible! Who would even think of such a spell?" "Loki," Thor said flatly. "Can you undo the enchantment now?" "Who's—" "No, never mind. There'll be time for questions later." Twilight steeled herself, and her horn began to glow again. "Yes, a lot of the power in the spell is gone now. I think that defense mechanism was a last resort kind of thing. It drained most of the power out of it. I think I can cut it now." There was a brief moment of concentration. Then suddenly the wrecker's body was awash in sickly green light. I cut the connection between his body and the magic," Twilight said, backing away. "But the magic needs to go somewhere. I thought it was just diffuse harmlessly, but there's so much." Thor didn't reply, but held out his hammer. Nothing happened at first, but then the disturbing aura of magic slowly began to drain off of its victim and into Thor's hammer. After several moments, the wrecker was merely heavyweight again, though somewhat older seeming than before. Mjolnir glowed a bright green for a moment before returning to normal. It it worked!" Twilight said, grinning happily. "That weird magic sure took a toll on his body, though. I'd say he aged at least a couple of years. Now, maybe you can explain what's going on?" Twilight turned to face the god who'd been there mere moments ago, only to find he'd already vanished. "Holy Celestia, he's fast!" came Rainbow's voice. The injured Pegasus hobbled out of the crowd. "I wonder if he gives lessons." Big Macintosh stowed the staff away in his saddlebags, which he'd left just outside of town. The last time he transformed, it had ruined his best pair of saddlebags, so he'd taken them off before Hoof this time. His heart was pounding wildly in his chest, and he felt as though he could barely breathe. Had he really just done all that? It felt separate from him, like it had been Thor fighting the wrecker, not him. It was an uncomfortable feeling. "Mac!" came a joyous cry, and he felt a sudden weight on his back. It took his brain a second to recognize Pinky's voice, but he was able to restrain his urge to buck her off. "That was awesome! I missed some of it, but I showed up in time for that awesome thing with the clouds and the wind and the lightning, and it was so cool!" Pinky leapt down from his back and hopped around him in circles. "I was kind of worried about you at first because you'd never been in a fight before, but you were all like, rah, and then you were like, whoosh, and they made a big boom and—" "Pinky!" Mac barked, stopping the painfully cheery pony mid-bounce. "Cut it out, will you? Some pony's gonna hear you." He turned away, not looking at her. Pinky gave him a concerned look. "What's wrong, Mackie? You did great! You're a real hero." "No, I ain't," Mac said dejectedly. "At least, Thor ain't. I did too good, Pinky. I hurt another pony. That ain't something to be proud of. It was almost like I wasn't me. Like I was Thor, not Big Mac anymore. I wanted to hurt him. I don't think I'd have cared much if I killed him. Hey, I think I was trying to kill him, or at least hurt him real bad. What kind of pony does something like that? What kind of pony wants to hurt another pony?" Big Mac lowered his head in shame. "I'm no better than that wrecker fella." "That's not true," Pinky insisted, her face suddenly very close to Mac's. She had an unusually serious expression on her face. Wrecker was a bad pony, Mac. He wanted to hurt other ponies just to make him feel better than them. You stopped him. That makes you the good pony. But I wanted to hurt him, Big Mac protested. I wanted to make him hurt for what he tried to do. That's not what a good pony does. Pinky shook her head violently. No, you don't get it. You were mad that he was hurting some pony you knew. You wanted to protect other ponies, and that's exactly what a good pony does. I think maybe Thor is a little more violent than you, but he comes from a different time. He's a warrior, that's what he does. That doesn't make you a bad pony. It just means that you have to be careful, okay? Big Mac was surprised at the party pony's insight, but smiled. Thanks, Pinky. I think I needed to hear that. He then frowned again. Thor and I are pretty different. What if one day I don't change back? What if I lose myself and forget how to be Big Mac? Don't be silly, Pinky said, suddenly all smiles again. That'll never happen. How can you be so sure? Big Mac asked, giving Pinky a quizzical look. Simple. You're friends, Pinky said, giving the large stallion a hug. As long as you have friends, you'll never, ever, ever forget who you are, because they'll always be around to remind you. Big Mac gently pushed Pinky away. I don't have a lot of friends, Pinky. I mean, me and Carrot Top get along pretty well, and I'm friendly with Feather Down and Cheery Lee and a few other ponies in town, but not a whole lot of real friends. He sighed. No time for friends when you got a farm to take care of. Pinky's eyes got wide and teary. That's so sad, she exclaimed. You must be so lonely. Not really. I got my family and my farm. Big Mac just shrugged. That's not enough. Every pony needs friends, Pinky insisted, then grinned broadly. Oh, I know. I'll be your friend, Macky Packy. I'm already friends with Applejack, so I'm already down on the farm all the time. Only now I'll come visit you too. She hugged him again, and this time Big Mac didn't push her away. We'll be the bestest best friends forever, she cheered. And if you ever forget who you are, I'll just throw you a party until you remember. And that's a Pinky promise. Cross my heart, hope to fly, stick a cupcake in my eye. Big Mac smiled at her, and something suspiciously like a tear formed in his eye. Thanks, Pinky, he said, hugging her back. That means an awful lot. You're a good friend, Pinky. Thanks, Pinky said, letting go. Oh, you know what this calls for? I have an idea, Big Mac said, smiling. A party! Sister, Luna poked her nose into Celestia's room. Is something the matter? Your presence was missed at dinner. Celestia was laying upon her bed, facing away from the door, but she turned towards her younger sister, grinning from ear to ear. Oh, Luna! Just the pony I wanted to see. Look at this. She levitated a scroll over to her sister. Luna took hold of it with her own magic, recognizing the handwriting as that of Twilight Sparkle, her sister's student and Luna's personal friend. Luna's eyes went wide as dinner plates as she read the letter. This cannot be. A new alicorn? Fully grown? In Ponyville? Surely one of us would have noticed in our many visits. You and I both appeared fully grown from nowhere, sister, Celestia reminded her. It's not implausible that this stallion did the same. Our birth was caused by the magical spike that gave Equestria magic, Luna retorted. One of us would have noticed such oh. Yes. Don't you remember? That magical surge a few days ago. A new kind of magic. We thought it was the birth of an alicorn, and it was. We were just wrong about the age. A stallion, not a foal. Celestia frowned. What worries me is this Loki Twilight says the new alicorn mentioned. Considering the complexity of the enchantment laid on the young heavyweight, you think there's another? Luna asked incredulously. 2 new alicorns? There is much we don't know about our own nature, Luna, Celestia said thoughtfully. Perhaps alicorns always come in opposing pairs, as we did. You and I represent the night and day. Perhaps these two represent something similar. Good and evil, perhaps. She sighed, frustrated. Or I could be entirely wrong, and this Loki could be something else altogether. The only one who would know this would be this Thor himself, Luna agreed, laying next to her sister on the bed. If only there was a way to contact him. Oh, that shouldn't be a problem, Celestia said with a bright smile. You forget, sister, things have advanced somewhat in your absence. Her horn glowed briefly, ringing a nearby bell to call a servant. Mere moments went by before a butler appeared in the doorway. Proper etiquette. Be a dear and contact the editor of Equestria Daily, would you? I believe his name is Seth. Tell him I wish to put an advertisement in his paper for a formal celebration to be held here in Canterlot, and have him contact me for the details. At once, your majesty, proper etiquette said, bowing his head before hurrying away to obey his ruler's orders. Celestia smiled at her sister. All we need to do is place a formal invitation in the paper, inviting Thor to come to visit us here. If his flair for the dramatic is as prominent as Twilight's letter made it seem, a party in his honor to formally welcome him to Equestria will be just the thing. A clever plan, Luna agreed. But what if he chooses not to attend? Don't be silly, Luna, Celestia giggled. A true gentlecolt would never turn down the invitation of a lady. Trixie returned to the clearing where her master had made his home, appearing in a flash of green light. The clearing seemed empty, but a small garden snake slithered up to Trixie and raised its head. Its flesh seemed to shimmer and bulge, until suddenly it grew into the dark green alicorn that Trixie called Master. Report, my apprentice, the god called Loki said quietly. Trixie bowed humbly before Loki before speaking. Everything went exactly as you hoped, Master. I don't hope, apprentice, I plan, Loki admonished gently. Remember that. Yes, Master, Trixie said with an apologetic tone she did not feel. It rankled her to call this pony Master like some subservient being. But the benefits of serving as Loki's apprentice far outweighed the disadvantages. Trixie could suffer serving a single pony if it led to her dominance over all of Equestria. It appears you are correct. Thor's mortal form resides in Ponyville, and he leapt to its defense when its inhabitants were threatened. The wrecker put up a good enough fight to be impressive, but he gave Thor little trouble. Excellent, Loki grinned. And the princess's student? Trixie scowled at the mention of her nemesis. Ah, the little witch survived. I suppose it was too much to hope too much to hope for the soul seal to kill her. But a puff of green fire left her library earlier this evening and went towards Canterlot faster than the eye could track, so I assume she's told the princess. Loki didn't seem terribly disturbed. It is a shame the student survived, but in the end it is immaterial. Her death would have forced the princess to take action, but since she lives, we will require a more direct method to force her hoof. He grinned. Trixie, my apprentice, I believe it is time we woke an old friend of mine. He has slumbered beneath the surface of Equestria for far too long. Of course, master, Trixie said, raising her head. Loki bent down and touching his horn to hers, transmitting the teleport coordinates and instructions for dealing with his friend into her mind in a flash of green magic. Trixie immediately teleported away, wasting no time. Loki grinned in the darkness. Soon, Equestria. Soon. The pieces are moving into place. Soon, Equestria will have a new hero. And then... His laughter echoed through the ever-free forest. All shall bow before Loki the Magnificent, King of all Equestria. And that, dear listeners, was Chapter 4 of My Little Avenger, available on Google Docs and, well, in the description below. Things are moving in a terrible direction. Loki's awakening an old friend, giving Asgardian lore. It could be anything. Absolutely anything. But what could be hiding underneath Equestria itself? Find out next week. In the meanwhile, let us enjoy a little bit of music. Tonight's pick, At Long Last by Naysayer. You're listening to FanFiction Fridays on Oatstralia On Air Live. And we come out of that wonderful track by Naysayer. That was At Long Last. And it is magnificent, like most of Naysayer's works. Ambient, relaxing, perfect for getting down with FanFiction Fridays here on Oatstralia On Air Live. You with Golden Microphone and Pegasus. I'm awake. Yes, you are awake. And you're awake just in time to read a fanfiction that I found just for you. Ooh, you found something for me, did you? Well, let's have a look. Clicky clicky, have a look, you see. This is a very, very, very short looking at. Why did you give me something so short? Why don't you read it and find out? Well, okay then. For some reason he seems to have found this one on DeviantArt. Go figure. I'm going to go right ahead and post this one into the chat. You'll probably see it before I even say it, but, well, that's just what you get, isn't it? Tonight's fanfiction is The Secret of Celestia by Blue Shift 2K5. Interesting. Apparently this one was written September 11, 2011. I'm just going to let that one sit for a while. I'm terrible. For those of you tuning in for the first time and hearing me, I'm a terrible pony. He really is. You can be quiet in the corner over there. All right then. The Secret of Celestia. Read along, chappies. Sit down, Twilight. I've got something to tell you. Twilight turned in shock as Spike sauntered into the library and sat himself down in front of her. Look, there's no easy way to say this, but I'm really Princess Celestia. Twilight gasped. What? I mean, I guess that makes total sense and was obvious in retrospect, but what? Spike nodded. I had to keep an eye on you. My daughter, who I fashioned from clay. That is why you never saw us in the same place, apart from all the times you did. When you give me a friendship report, I actually read it and then burnt it up. Spike leaned back in his chair, a magical white horn appearing on his head as he revealed his true powers. You see, Twilight, I had to keep you close, since you will replace me as the next magical princess, and the only logical way of doing that was to disguise myself as a small purple dragon. But what about when I hatched you from an egg and Celestia was right there? Twilight gasped. Spike looked smug. See? That's just how good I am. Twilight furrowed a brow. But what about the huge crush you have on Rarity? Ah, Spike sighed. Rarity is my magical clone. Of course I would feel attracted to her. Ponies always feel attracted to their magical clones. That's why Scootaloo likes Rainbow Dash so much. He coughed, large white wings unfurling from his back. But now my deception is over, and there are no secrets between us. Not so! Twilight rose to her full height. You see, I am also Princess Celestia, from the future! Magical wings also unfurled from her back, and Spike gasped. So you see, Spike, it was really me who was in control all along. Not so! Came a cry from the far end of the room. Both faux Princess Celestia's turned to see Aloysius. A horn appeared on his head. I am Princess Celestia from the double future! And so it went. Oh, this was a magnificent find. That, unfortunately, was all of The Secret of Celestia by Blueshift 2K5, available on DeviantArt and in the description below, for all of you YouTubers listening later. According to this is a short My Little Pony story based on the prompt, a massive canon-destroying revelation that's presented as fact. Oh, true magnificence has not been seen in ages. Oh, Oh, I do believe that we need more of this. We need far, far more of this. So, who has some? Give me more fan fictions to read. Give me more. Oh, I'm drowning in all this delicious fan fiction. Ah, perhaps, perhaps next time, if you have some terrible fan fiction like this, or something worse, or something better, who knows, send it to us. Please send it to us. Put it onto the wall on the Facebook page, or post it to us in Tumblr. Ooh, we want inboxes, please. Well, that was interesting. You really know how to put a twist on a strange story, don't you? I have no idea what you're talking about. All I do is just, well, I read it. And that's good enough for me. I'm Golden Microphone. I'm Pegasus. We're here after the experience of Celestia's Secret. You know what? I think a quick musical interlude is necessary. Oh, really? I mean, I was only on for all of 10 minutes. 10 minutes is probably more than enough for some. Ah, well, okay. Here's a little musical interlude. We're going to play the Dueling DAWS. I don't even know how to say that. I really don't. I'm sure it's Dueling Doors, isn't it? Well, whatever it is. Dueling DAWs, Doors. What? Don't look at me like that. is by DJ Stablefree and Replacer. These two are battling it out in a musical not to be missed, presenting Dueling Doors, right here on Oatstralia On Air Live. Come back soon. Give us some more stories, please.
one.
That was Dueling Dolls by Stable Free and Replacer. As with every song that you're going to hear tonight, well, let's see. What's this playlist? Don't look at the playlist. Oh, come on. No, just... Okay, fine. You can look at the playlist. Oh, we're not playing that, are we? We are playing that because it's great. But he's not even going to PonyCon. What is wrong with you? We're supposed to be promoting these guys. We're fired, remember? Oh, details. We're promoting. All right. You can say it. With every song that we're playing tonight is a PonyCon musician, except one. But everything played is being played. Well, it's not being played at the con, but... Ah, you get it. You understand. You're not stupid, ignorant idiots who are listening to a radio station run by two interdimensional ponies who could or possibly be in one person's head. Person? In any event, I'm going to pass this mic right back over to Golden Microphone. I believe he has a story to tell. Thank you very much, Pegasus. You can go back to sleep in the corner now. How I live with that guy, I don't even... Anyway, every pony, we have ourselves a nice, wonderful, relaxing story ahead of us. Octavia Takes the Bus, Chapter 4, which I will be posting into the chat and in the description below. For all of you on YouTube later, of course. Let's see here. Ooh. What's with the monkey noises? Ooh, let me read something first. Okay, let me just scroll through here. Ah, here we are. Somebody actually posted a little thing for us to read. Are you kidding me? No! Let me look. There it is. Okay, let me read. Once upon a time, there was a tree, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. Are you kidding me? Nope. Now, if you'll excuse me. I'm never getting used to this. As I've posted, Octavia Takes the Bus. This is Chapter 4. What's happened thus far? A lot has happened. If you haven't been keeping up, I highly suggest reading the other chapters for yourself. There are obviously 3 previous chapters. One of them is a prelude. Very nice. Basically, Octavia's car is broken down and she's taking the bus. She has family problems, so to speak. Let's just say there's a lot to go over. So instead of telling you all of that, we're going to jump straight into it. How's that sound? Okay? Okay. Hey. What now? I forgot to quote the author. What? But... Come on, please. All right. Who's the author of that wonderful story that you just read? The author was Aaron Mostyn. Aaron, you seem to be a new listener, so thank you so much for that. Oh, it's great to see new, wonderful storytellers out there. I expect to see more from you. Oh, look, people have been commenting. Ooh, Aaron even wanted a shout out. Hey, it's a good thing I came back, right? I see you've got a bit of a headache. I'll go back to the corner now. Toodaloo! Okay. Octavia Takes the Bus. Chapter 4. April 8th, 2012. First bus ride 8 a.m. Southwest corner of North 43rd Avenue and West Bell Road. For the first time in many months, I find myself at odds with my doctor. Forgive me, Father. How are you this morning? Today I arose from my bed with a slight pain in my neck. I could not tell you why. It just happened to appear this morning. And it's getting worse. I can't turn my neck to the left, otherwise a sharp pain shoots down my shoulder. Perhaps I'm overworking myself practicing for the big concert coming up in a little over 2 weeks. The solo I am composing is set in rapid arpeggios, with short breaks to intensify the mood. The notes will fly off the chords and dance furiously yet gracefully in the ears of those in the audience. It is a song meant not to scare but to elicit awe. I think it's my neck that awes this composition the most, however. I tried to ice it a little this morning before leaving, and it helped a little. This song is so powerful it would make the flight of the bumblebee look like a crash landing into a field of nursery rhymes. But you didn't wake this early in the morning to hear me self-praise my musical ingenuity, have you? You want to hear about my appointment with the doctor? Very well, then. It all started as usual. We greeted at the door and delved right back into the thick of things. I am not one to dawdle in meaningless talk, especially now when any free time I excavate from my mountainous schedule is dedicated to practicing. He was very pleased with my progress towards talking to other ponies, which I found to be affirming, but a tad embarrassing. I mean, I know I've always had trouble initiating conversations, but some ponies make it all seem so natural, so easy. And I still get the butterflies when I need to use the telephone. I highly doubt I will find any pony who struggles with relating socially as much as I do. This brings me to the doctor's challenge. Although he was pleased that I have engaged in meaningful conversation, he noticed that they were initiated by something other than me. With Twilight Sparkle, it was her snooping that started the conversation, and I have Winona's friendliness to thank for hearing Applejack's tale. I remember he took off his glasses and gave me that signature smirk. That look always meant something sinister was about to be said that would turn the tide against my favor, swallow me into its perturbing force, and drop me off like a castaway on the island of discomfort. He asked me to start a conversation with a complete stranger next time I board each bus. But not just any pony. The strangest, weirdest, odd-looking pony I could find. Imagine this for a minute, my dearest father. Imagine a tower, a strong and beautiful tower built using the most tender care and affection by hooves of conviction and fervor. The sun beat endlessly, the rains fell mercilessly, but unwaveringly the hooves worked and worked and worked until this tower stood erect, the only one of its kind. Now, father, imagine the mayor comes along and declares this tower for purposes that existed not even in the subconscious of the loving builder, and he adamantly refuses to comply with the demands given to him. Has he forgotten his place? Why, of course! He's a contractor for the state, and any demands from his hirer are to be followed as law. Thus he gives the leading man the keys to his tower, and he walks away. Introversion is not a weakness, father. In fact, I find it to be one of my greatest gifts. The fact that I am capable of keeping to myself and withhold any sudden urges is a testament to strength and wisdom. Who would ever want to rob me of this? This challenge poses a risk to everything that I've built up for myself the past few years of my life. My reputation could be ruined. My protective instincts would be unarmed. And worst of all, I would have to sit through 10 minutes of the worst conversation any pony has ever heard since existence. The strangest pony I could find, I would rather hear the babbles of babes. However, I am not one to disobey the voice of tried wisdom. It is possible that my introversion poses a sort of barrier to figuring out what troubles me so, and I cannot deny the joy I have come to discover after getting to know the two mares from Ponyville. Therefore, I have accepted the challenge in the name of improvement, and am now seeking which pony to strum up a conversation with as we speak. There are the regulars who, though not ideal ponies, don't seem to convey any weirdness vibes at all. In fact, they're just there. There is nothing peculiar about them. This is going to be harder than I thought. Perhaps I should wait after a few stops before I make my choice. And will contestant number 1 please come on down? There she is, Father. The ideal strange pony. It has to be. Just look at her. A springy hairstyle. A pair of joke glasses on her face. 2 party hats worn over her ears. Balloons for a cutie mark. She's outrageous! This looks like a catalogue for children's birthday party favours. What on earth has this pony been drinking? Oh my! I simply cannot get a hold of myself over this spectacle. Okay. Well, she's passed my seat and decided to take residence in the middle of the bus. Who could blame her? It's not like my looks invite ponies to rest their rumps and bask in the glory of my glowing charm. This mare, on the other hoof, could blind the blind a second time, until their perpetual blackness becomes a pleasurable memory. This makes my next move exponentially uncomfortable by default. Let us not postpone the inevitable, Father, and dive right in. Though if I were to be honest, I'd rather dive into a pool of vicious alligators than sit next to a walking birthday cake. Hello. That was all I said. A simple yet respectful greeting, and then poof! Confetti fell from an unidentified source, and the pink pony spoke at a pace that would put motor cars to shame. I picked out hello and oh my galloping gumshoes with gumdrops, but that was all. The volume of her voice was so loud and high-pitched, it was like a parasprite playing a violin badly with a hoof file. And it never stopped! She kept going and going and going. How did her parents survive with her? Okay, now she just scared me. When she stopped to take a breath, which sounded more like a desperate gasp for air, she said in a more normal pace that diving in a pool of vicious alligators would be more likely result in lots of injuries. Or in her terms, boo-boos. I was still trying to figure out how in the name of all things logical she could know these things when out of nowhere she pulled out a cupcake and showed it to me. She said it was a new recipe and that I looked like the perfect candidate to test it. Not being one to turn down a baked treat, I put the pastry in question to my mouth and took a small bite. I lost all sense of direction for that short moment as I savored the sweetness of this incredible cupcake. The texture of the bread was just right and felt good on my tongue. The flavor was a harmonious composition of chocolate and strawberry with a smooth peach cream icing. It felt like a cascade of silk rushing down my throat every time I swallowed. When I finished, I could not believe I had just ingested an entire cupcake given to me by a complete stranger dressed as a party table. But at the same time, I could not believe how unbelievably good it tasted. She asked in a surprisingly normal voice what I thought of it. I responded that it was the best cupcake I had ever tasted. Then out of nowhere she pulled out a ukulele and offered to explain in song how to make cupcakes. I said sure, If I recall correctly, one must mix a cup of flour, place something sweet, not sour, and a bit of salt, a pinch really. A teaspoon of vanilla comes next, with an extra douse of the extract for good measure. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a bunch of delectable cupcakes. I would have imagined baking cupcakes would be a tad more involved than that, but I am talking to a mayor who can read minds and produce confetti from nothing. I question nothing. Catchy tune. I wanted to start a nice little chat to find out more about this eccentric mayor, but before I could even mutter a word, she forced another cupcake into my mouth, causing me to choke on its rich texture. As I was struggling to chew the cupcake, she rammed a bright pink hoofkerchief onto my face and cleaned up all the frosting that packed onto my lips. She apologized and then threw the hoofkerchief out the window. That was when we heard a gruff voice coming from the front of the bus. It was the conductor, and it was apparent he did not appreciate this pony's littering. Leave it to the party bona fide to take this curt call-out as an invitation to offer him one of her moist cupcakes. For that was exactly what she did. Ignoring all physics whatsoever, she stood on the ceiling of the bus, hoofed with what appeared to me to be gumshoes, and brought down a cupcake to the conductor's eyes. Luckily, we were at a stop, so no danger was posed to the passengers on board. And perhaps it was my eyes playing tricks on me, but I swear I saw a small firework sparkle in her eye. What happened next was truly a spectacle, and downright atrocious. The conductor grabbed the pony by the neck, said some choice words, and threw her precisely back into her seat with a thump. He held the cupcake in his hoof for a few seconds before depositing it into the small trash bin he always had near him, making sure she was looking. Then a peculiar thing happened. Her mane began to deflate like a pricked balloon. Her smile slowly degraded into a heartbreaking frown. Her eyes lost that exploding sparkle and were replaced by tears. It was as if the party was sucked out of her. For the first time during the ride, she didn't say a word. Well, I have a few words to say to the conductor. How dare he disrespect a paying customer as if she were a bag of Monday's trash? Such customer service is unspeakable. I believe a verbal correction is in order. Please wait a moment, Father, while I give this bloated bastard not a piece, but my whole damn mind. The feeling of justice is thick in the air. The morning sun basks in the glory of unwavering valor, and strong hooves strike the cold ground with triumph. Not a cloud dots the sky, for they know and fear for the arrival of Octavia, defender of the defenseless and leader of the lost. Well, in case you haven't noticed, Father, I was kicked off the bus for my behavior. Evidently, the conductor didn't like having his actions accounted for, or his weight problem interpreted as laziness. But some pony has to hold the mirror to his self-righteousness. But that wasn't even the best part, Father. After I had convincingly hoofed his plot to him, I picked the delicacy he discarded and, using the technique I learned from the pink pony, smashed his wobbly face with sweet justice. Oh, the richness that shines against the flames and fire of the beast! His screams panged my delicate ears, but I never let my guard down. It was at this moment he opened the door and roared that if he ever saw me on his bus again, he would kill me. I simply looked his way with a smirk and quipped, "Fat chance." I was not alone in my honourable discharge from the bus, Father, for right after I stepped out of the bus, who should be shoved right into my back but the pink pony herself. I asked what happened after I regained my stance. With a smile, she said that she was so moved by my act of defence that she pulled out 13 3/4 cupcakes, stuffed them into a party cannon, and fired full blast at the conductor until he was completely covered in gooey goodness. At first I couldn't believe what I heard, but then we broke into laughter of victory. I could see that the sparkle returned to her eyes, and her hair rejuvenated into a former spongy spunk. She leaned close to me as if she was going to tell me a secret, but then she was gone. I'm walking alone now, Father, and writing in sync with my steps is harder than it seems. I look like a limp. There must be an easier way. The pink pony? Oh, I don't know if I'll ever see her again. Perhaps she left her oven on back in Ponyville, and so she broke into a mad dash clear across the street towards her hometown. She vanished in the blink of an eye at speeds that would rival the Wonderbolts. Too bad she wasn't a Pegasus. No, she did not thank me for sticking up for her, but oddly enough I feel that it wasn't necessary. Sure, would have been nice, but it felt good to stand up for her. It was like a release of some kind. I feel like I can do anything. No, a thank you would have been just extra. Kind of like sprinkles on a cupcake. I can't seem to get something out of my mind. I don't know why, but I have this eerie feeling that I've seen her before. But where? Call me crazy, Father. Perhaps even paranoid, but did I just feel a kiss on my cheek? And that hug on my body? It seemed awfully familiar. It was like cotton candy rubbing against my rump. I have definitely felt that before. Wait a minute. Pinkie Pie! The Grand Galloping Gala! Yes, it's all so clear now. During the night's performance at the gala, that disrespectful little Pinkie Pie grabbed hold of my hoof and nearly made me break every single string on my cello. That little bugger! I knew there was something striking about her the moment I saw her. She's a menace! Destroyer of decency! Flattener of fancy! Embarrassment of equines! Queen of cupcakes. Lady of laughter. Princess of parties. A kind and generous spirit. Oh, I must hurry. At this rate I'll probably arrive late, and I'm never late to a rehearsal. Until later, Father. Octavia. We'll leave it at that for the moment. One half of April 8th of Octavia Takes the Bus. And now we'll get ourselves into another piece of music, a new piece of music, actually. What? Okay. Never mind that. We will go to a piece of music that will not be featured at PonyCon AU due to studies. This is Stormwolf's Perfect Picture. You're on FanFiction Fridays listening to Gold Microphone, only on Oatstralia On Air Live. Giving it... Why isn't it working? There we go. The joys of live radio. Enjoy Perfect Picture.
How do you feel? Excited, overjoyed, thrilled beyond your wildest dreams? Nervous. Nervous. Don't be ridiculous.
Passion is a necessity. The model's dedication just for visual sensation, expression of our mortality. perfection to find in all the haste. Undermined time, lights and the book are really fine. Natural potential gone to waste. Icon in the industry, creator of a new beauty, top of a trade, but nothing satisfies. Got to adjust the dressing, won't make it for the best. Perfect by artificial light. Icon in the industry, creator of a new beauty, top of a trade, but nothing satisfies. Got to adjust the dress needs, won't make it for the best. Perfect by artificial lies.
That was the... oh boy. That was the gorgeous sounding Stormwolf in one of his latest... What is that? Oh. Don't worry about the screams you may be hearing through the microphone. That's it's nearly ready! Woo! That's Pegasus trying to find his way home. Could you do it in another room, please? Please? The studio can't take a portal to the Screaming Souls dimension. Oh, come on! While that's being sorted, we're going to go right on with Octavia Takes the Bus. Also, that was by Stormwolf. That was Perfect Picture, one of his latest tracks to come out. Unfortunately, Stormwolf will not be attending PonyCon due to studies that he needs to attend to. Oh, for the love of... If you'll all excuse me for just a second, please. Right, and with that figured out, Octavia Takes the Bus, Part 2 of Chapter 4, April 8th, 2012, 11:30 a.m. I am so exhausted by these poor excuses for musicians. Oh, how I wish they would just evaporate from my life and let me live out my dreams. Why must they do this to me? Why? Allow me to explain further. Father. When I finally arrived at the theatre for our rehearsals, I found the podium to be lacking in ponies. I looked for them backstage. No pony. I walked upstairs to the second level. No pony. Empty. I even checked the restrooms. Both sexes. Empty as well. There was no pony in sight. Just as I was about to ask the front desk where my compatriots were, a note was handed to me by a young usher who looked no older than 16. It basically read that rehearsals were moved to a music studio 3 blocks due south. They would wait for me. Now, what possible reason would you imagine they gave me when I arrived for 1. Moving rehearsals to a music studio, and 2. Not telling me beforehoof? Simple. They had just decided to move the rehearsals that very morning, and because I was riding the bus, there was no way to contact me. Why did they move them in the first place? Because it was closer to every pony. All seemed very suspicious from the outset. And, of course, I discovered their real plan quickly. You see, as I was getting a drink of water from the cooler during break, I caught a glimpse of a conversation between Frederick and a stallion I had never seen before. He was dressed very fashionably, and that is a notable comment for a Counterlotan to make. While I kept my face hidden behind the door, I could hear certain words from their little talk. Music, studio, space, wonderful, deal, money. That was all I needed to hear. I burst through the door to confront Frederick and the gentle cult that he invited. How dare he try to strike a deal with the stallion without consulting the other members of the quartet? And since when did we perform in hopes to land a record label? When we started this group, we all agreed that we played for the love of music and to one day play in front of large audiences, not for high ticket prices, but to share the wonders of unified and harmonic sound. That is all we've ever been about. And for this detestable maggot to freely invite this equally disgraceful assortment of suits and sags and make a deal, it's just preposterous. We are not some lavish pop singer with real issues and fake talents. We are not a bunch of rich children who are too slack to seek personal fulfillment and too adamant about our parents buying out our lame dreams of fame. We are musicians. We love music. If we are to be adored as kings and queens, then it will be because we have earned that right because of hard work and gentle vision. I have not worked my plot off, perfecting my craft and composing my solo in order to sell my soul to some sweet talker in a suit. I will not have it. That was when the other members walked in, and that was when I found out the entire group was in on it together. The gentle colt, whom I found was some hotshot named Fancy Pants, was answering a call made 2 weeks ago from a member of the Sunshine Quartet to come in and give a listen to their beautifully arranged music headed by one of the greatest cellists of all time, Octavia. Oh, I could feel the butter boiling all over me. I turned to my compatriots, and every one of them looked to the floor. Only Susie Tuber stepped out and spoke when obviously no other pony dared. Sweet Susie Tuber. She plays the loudest instrument with the softest blows. She opened her sweet mouth and oozed the sour, bitter, filthy, murky words that gave reason to their treachery and season for my misery. Some pony found out about my plans to go solo after the concert, and so in a dual attempt to make money before my departure and seduce me into staying with the group, they contacted Fancy Pants and arranged a practice session in the studio and masked their scheme with fibs of facilitation. As I looked around the room, all I saw was silent faces. Silent faces marked with disdainful deception and garish greed. At that moment, I lifted my head and my cello case and faced the exit. What was I to do, Father? Do I stay to play into a microphone, selling my precious music to a bunch of business ponies, or walk out the door with my creative integrity? The wind had picked up speed since this morning, and I feel the beginnings of a drizzle at the end of my muzzle. What to do for 5 hours? It's such a strange feeling when all your life you've always had something to do for every minute of it, only to find yourself with nothing important to focus on. It's like losing a map halfway through the journey. You could say that's exactly how I feel right now. I don't know where to go on from here. Well, Father, I've settled here at the bus stop. Just me, my pad, and my cello case. It's all I really have right now. It's all that really matters. How do they do it? How can a group of ponies just brush another pony to the side away as if she were crumbs fallen to the floor? Do they not understand that these crumbs were once an object? What power does absence have over us that we allow it to make life-changing decisions so simple? How does it make us forget our compatriots? How does it render our memories useless? Could it be that absence is the key to change? Of presence? Of mind? Of heart? of reason, of so many damn things. What am I missing here, Father? What have I possibly given to perdition that would cause my friends to ditch me like a raggedy doll? My loyalty? I wouldn't have left the group without telling them about it. I would have given them plenty of time to seek a fourth member, but they jumped the gun. I hadn't even gone, and they already wooed a label to label us as sellouts. Even the potential of absence is powerful enough to separate and decompose. Absence does not make the heart grow fonder. Absence breaks it. It pummels the heart with unfounded threats and paranoia and leaves the pieces scattered all over where the winds of doubt carry them off into the abyss of fear. A bus is approaching, but it's much too early for me to board. But on the other hoof, there may be a chance I could see the doctor for a while longer. Oh, I have much to discuss with him. Besides, I still have part 2 of the challenge to complete. I want to get that over with as soon as possible. Not to say Pinkie Pie was a complete disaster. I ended up enjoying that encounter. But all right, here it is. April 8th, 2012. Second bus ride, 12 p.m. Southwest corner of North 43rd Avenue and West Bell Road. My! The noon route is absolutely jam-packed. I hardly had room to squeeze through the little hallway. I was fortunate enough to find a seat in the middle of the bus near the back exit, but I am forced to hold my cello in between my legs. This makes writing a chore, forcing me to rest my pad on my case, giving me the space of about 1 foot to write in. Maybe this is how a praying mantis would write her thoughts, praying that as stops pass by, passengers too would pass off the bus. Did I mention that the vast majority of the passengers are of high school age? My guess is the school north of the studio held a short day, but even this is quite a ridiculous number of young ponies. Something else must be causing the numbers explosion, but what? What in the world? Father, a pony has just boarded that sent the bus into an uproar of clops and whistles. I can't quite see the famous guest, namely because the pony seated next to me got up and rudely squeezed her way out. At least I can place my cello in the unoccupied seat so I can write in a more orthodox way. As soon as I was about to write, I heard a raspy throat clearing. Ahem! I looked up to find a white unicorn with a most frazzled blue mane sporting purple sunglasses. She said, more like demanded, she wanted to have a seat next to me. I moved to the window seat and placed the cello between my legs. She crossed her hooves and said that she wanted the window seat. Begrudgingly, I got up and allowed her to squeeze into the window seat. I must have rubbed up against 5 flanks in that transfer. Some ponies can be such snobs, I tell you. Look at her. When was the last time she combed her mane? And she smells like a convenience store. Where has the care for appearance gone this century? She's so engrossed in her cell phone just typing away at those little keys. How can any pony master such a tedious task? It looks painful. I can't stand cell phones, Father. I had a cell phone for 1 month, and I had to cancel it after getting over 300 text messages a night from complete strangers who wrote some of the most grotesque things I'll ever read. I'll spare you the details, but believe me when I say the 200 bits cancellation fee was a small price to pay for my privacy back. I am not a huge fan of social media either. Who cares what you had for breakfast? If you want attention, go outside and do something worth attending to. Should I start a conversation with her? There are plenty of candidates on this bus at this hour. But perhaps chance has brought us here for some reason. I will start by asking her name and go from there. Not sure what I'll get. Maybe a mumble I cannot decipher, or a cloud of cigarette smoke that'll singe my face. Here goes. How was I supposed to know her name was Vinyl Scratch? Am I a mind reader? DJ Pone 3? These are all just symbols to me. She goes on to peek at my cello and scoff. Yes, of course, because I am cultured I appear to be out of sync with reality. Says the mare with the blue mane. We entered into a bit of a verbal fest. I say she's not cultured enough. She calls me yogurt. I say she should try something new. She says classical is too old for her. I suggest that classical music can be very lively. She says it's impossible because all the composers are dead. I say that greats like Beethoven will never go out of style, unlike electronic music. She says electronic music is just a highly evolved style that puts classical in the days of cave ponies. At this point, I realize we are never going to agree, and so I pulled out my ultimate zinger and say to her face that she is a sellout. That brought the sunglasses down. She had a pair of bright red eyes that burned with anger. Very slowly, she asked me to repeat. At this point, all eyes were on me. I wouldn't have minded this if I were performing, but this was a little disturbing. I swallowed hard and tugged at my bow tie. Vinyl slapped my hoof off of my bow tie and demanded that I repeat what I had just said. Why was this mare so sprung? I repeated my sentiment, that because she was into the new wave of music, that she must have signed with some label, thus allowing business ponies to dictate what she wrote, a sellout of her creativity. At this, Vinyl softened her gaze and shook her head. She wasn't fierce anymore, and most of the ponies got the idea and turned back into whatever they were doing, just sitting, spectating. What followed, Father, I could only describe as music to my ears. First, she snarled at me, mumbling that she was not a sellout. Sellouts were abominations to the world of music. They sleep their way to the top, then prance around the world pretending to be talented when in fact they are nothing more than rich attention whores with nothing better to do. At that moment she slid off her sunglasses completely and recounted a time when she almost fell into the trap of worldwide fame. They promised the world to her, but instead they only gave her a world of hurt and unmet expectations. They owned everything she made, even that which was not yet produced. They owned her mind. They owned her soul. Buck them, she said. She was never about fame or money or anything that came with being a music producer. To her, music was an escape from the world. It was painting a picture for the blind. It was introducing a new concept of beauty to a stagnant world. It was innovation and originality and leaving your hoof mark in the sands of time. Music was passion. Music was love. Music was the little voice in your head that said you can make anything happen and anything was possible. Music made you want to fly, higher and higher until there was no more sky to discover. Then, music made you search even harder for ways to outstretch the boundaries. Music was never meant to encapsulate, but to expand. I felt like panting as if I had just run a mile when Vinyl jerked her face into my own and told me to never call her a sellout again. She fell back in her seat and pulled out her cell phone. Wow. I apologized to her for my forward assumptions and my prejudice against electronic musicians. It had been a hard day and all I wanted to do was straighten every crooked edge in the world I could find. She then asked what got me into such a tizzy. I told her everything. The morning bus, Pinkie Pie, the note, the studio, the betrayal of my friends. She asked what I did after I found out. Her eyes went soft after I told her that I literally walked out of the group. She smiled. She said that was cool. You know, hearing that from a pony such as herself was pretty satisfying. I've never been cool in my life, and to be validated as such from an electronic musician was very fulfilling. I chuckled, and so did she. As I was getting off the bus, with much more room to wiggle through, thankfully, Final said that perhaps one day we could do a collaboration of some sort. Yeah, like that'll ever happen. You know what, Father? I just realized not once today Did I say a thing about the bus? Not the seats, not the ride, not even the stains. Am I a regular now? Octavia. And that was Chapter 4 of Octavia Takes the Bus. Quite a ways through, but we got ourselves a couple of fan favorites, Pinkie Pie and DJ Mayor. Sorry, that's me. DJ Mayor at derbymail.org if you want to drop in a line. DJ Pony herself on the bus describing music as we all know it, as we all love it. Oh, and to think, all of this comes from Octavia taking the bus. This whole thing came from her car breaking down. Have you ever had such a story just blow you away? I've read this entire thing, so it's not a blind reading. I'm sharing this with you because I believe that stories are just like this. They open the mind. They make you just believe in so many things, take you away on adventures, to journeys, to places your mind had never even thought of, to places that the author wants you to go, you to experience with them what they are seeing in their head, what they believe, what they think, and make you part of it. This is why I started this station. This is why I started this program. Stories like this that completely take you by surprise, take you away, and throw you into another pony's hooves. Throw you into an adventure you never thought possible. Sorry, that's me getting carried away. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any other stories tonight. Oh, Aaron, please. Aaron in the chat just said, after hearing you say that, my tree story sounds pretty dodgy. Aaron, I think you should come back next week for sure. Absolutely come back, because your style of writing is exactly what we need in next week's show. After the song that I'm going to be playing in just a second, I will be announcing a brand new feature of FanFiction Fridays, and it's for every listener. Every listener can participate in it. Until the end, well, at the end of this song, which, by the way, is Cyan Blue, the prelude to Rainbow, as done by Kuroshia, enjoy it. Think about it. And wonder just what this new thing could be. You're listening to FanFiction Fridays on Oatstralia On Air Live. I'm Golden Microphone. This is Cyan Blue.
I'll admit, it started out as curiosity. I never thought I'd meet my girl, the master of velocity. It started out as friends telling me to watch this show, and I thought,
what the hell, I'll give it a go.
and within minutes, my jaws dropped, my eyes open wide. I felt this indescribable warm feeling inside, something I'd never felt before. Reassurance? Far from it, my friends. It was love at first glance. When she flew on the screen, my heart was set aflutter. She made my heart skip a beat instantly like no other. A girl who could clear the sky in 10 seconds flat was no other than that Pegasus Rainbow Dash. When the episode ended and I began to close my eyes, I dreamt about nothing other than soaring the skies with the girl of my dreams. As we rule the skies above, I'm sure it's nothing harmful, it's only just love.
And this one's to the girl Cyan Blue.
Yeah, I think I love you.
Yeah, I love nobody else but you.
Yeah, I think I love you.
So please heed my words because they're nothing but truth.
Yeah, I think I love you.
Because girl,
I think I love you. It's been months since that day, and boy, things have changed in the best possible way. Everything's been rearranged. The memorabilia of Rainbow Dash surrounds me. No matter how down I am, she's always there to make me happy. It's too bad those friends I had are slowly passing by said they couldn't keep it up, and it makes me wonder why. They said my so-called love was strange and unhealthy. It's ridiculous. Don't they want me to be happy? With my family, pretty much the same thing applied. When I packed up and left, I didn't even say goodbye. But meh, who needs them? All I'll ever need is a life happy together, just my Rainbow Dash and me. And get this, some people are even calling me crazy, cause sometimes I swear I can hear her talk to me. But that's nothing bad at all. It's only a matter of time before she grabs my hand and tells me that it'll all be just fine.
And this one's to the girl cyan blue.
Yeah, I think I love you.
Yeah, I love nobody else but you.
Yeah, I think I love you.
So please hate my words because they're nothing but truth.
Yeah, I think I love you.
Because girl,
I think I love you.
That wonderful song was Cyan Blue. Quite a lovely nickname for our dear Rainbow Dash. This was a prelude to Kuroshi's smash hit and Feather's first venture into the fandom's musician scene, Rainbow. Both musicians have had quite a bit of success from that, actually, and Cyan Blue is pretty much the start of that particular story. From what I understand, there's supposed to be another one, a sequel to Rainbow as well. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but we'll see what happens. I trust Kuroshio to do great things. Now, as for the special announcement that I said I was going to make, I did make it at the beginning of the video, but for all of you, what's this, in the comments? Con main music? Wasn't there meant to be a special? Yes, indeed. I already did that, but I'm going to do it again. Now, the special announcement I did at the beginning of the video is that this is unconfirmed at the moment, but it is possible that... Oh, Aaron's watching ads again. Oh boy, right as the announcement comes up. Well, we're not going to wait for him. He can listen on YouTube later, I'm fairly sure. Aaron, I will have a little shout out down here for you in the description. Anyway, I recently was taken off the PonyCon team for varying reasons, reshuffling of roles and so forth, and well, I was found to be redundant because they already had a radio provider of sorts in the form of Philadelphia. Yeah, never mind that. Philadelphia are run by fantastic people who just happen to be a lot more experienced with this whole media thing than I am. They're going to be providing a live stream, and they're going to have people roaming the floors to get interviews, get videos, all of that stuff so we can stream the whole con to the world. I unfortunately do not have any experience with any of this. They do, so I had to step aside in a way. However, something nice has come out of this. For one, PonyCon will feature Oatstralia on air at a panel on Sunday. So if you're going to get a ticket, get Sundays so you can meet us. And not only that. Oh, when I say panel, I mean all the hosts. So that's myself, Metal Brony, Bloodlust, and Thunderflare as well. They're all going to be there. If we're lucky, we could get Glitchhog as well. And Kuroshio, well, Kuroshio as the master, he's not the master of ceremonies. I might be, but enough of that. No. Kuroshio might also be on this panel. Now, I just mentioned it a little bit there, but this is only rumors. I can't confirm anything, and I haven't had anything confirmed, but I might be the MC for PonyCon AU. Might be. So, hooves crossed. I might be up there on the stage introducing every musician, talking to everyone, and generally being there, presenting everything. Oatstralia on air, live at PonyCon AU, both at our booth. I don't know if we have a booth. I really hope we have a booth. I better talk about getting a booth. Anyway, having a booth and or stall. We're on a panel with the BronyComs team, and I might be on stage all day. How about that? Again, it's just rumors. I can't confirm it. Nor can anyone else apparently, but this is how it stands. So, come to PonyCon AU. See me up on stage. I might even get a robe. Well, actually, I wonder if I should go around with a robe, a bubble pipe, and a glass of wine. Well, I can't go around with a glass of wine. It's a family show, so maybe some apple juice. Apple cider. Sparkling apple juice. That'd be nice. Ooh, I've got some in the fridge. Anyway, this also means that the voices of Announcer Voice and Pegasus will make their appearances at PonyCon AU as well when the time comes. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear them echoing off the walls somewhere. Well, this has been a fairly fantastic night. We got through quite a few fanfictions tonight. Aaron came up with the most brilliant idea, red cordial. Yes, red cordial for sure. From what I understand, I'm also going to be doing some live fanfiction reading in front of an audience. So, who knows? Maybe you'll catch me reading something that the audience has written, or something one of the team has written. Who knows? Either way, tonight has been fantastic. You, dear listeners, have been fantastic as always. Thank you so much for coming along and listening tonight, and also for putting up with my live technical difficulties, inclusive of a portal to hell, which is closed, by the way. It's okay. It's okay. We made sure to fix that. Pegasus is just having a little nap at the moment. Whoa! 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 I'm sorry. I was announcer. What are you doing? Turn that off. I'm sorry. Come on. Okay. Where's the button? Where's the button? Come on, just hit the button. Announcer, what were you doing? What are you even doing here? You're not supposed to be on this week. I know. I'm so sorry. I was just poking around in these files and I found something rather odd. So I double-clicked it. I had a look, and why do you have Fluttershy on your computer? Why is she dancing to a vast Fluttershy's ass? Why are you even looking in my computer? What we just witnessed there was something very interesting. I have a Fluttershy screensaver where Fluttershy walks onto the screen dancing to a vast Fluttershy's ass. And it's rather cute, actually. I'll put a link to it in the YouTube. I'll put a link to it in the description on YouTube. Okie dokie, so you can all experience Fluttershy doing her thing. I am not Inspector Gadget Conmain. I'll have you know. I am Announcer Voice. I used to do the voice for, well... Did you just lose your train of thought? I lost my train of thought. I have been out of action, man. I've been out of action. I need to get back into the fanfiction readings. Come on, give me something, anything. You could continue with the adventures of Heartflank and Sweets, you know. Can we do that? Can we really do that next week? Next week? Next week. Oh, yes! I'm in the money. I don't know why he's talking about money, but how about that? We've got Heartflank and Sweets continuing next week, and this has been FanFiction Fridays with me, Golden Microphone. What are you doing over on the mic? Pegasus. I'm contractually obligated to say my name at the end of the show. You don't have a contract. Oh. And Announcer Voice! I swear, their hearing is better than most. Well, whatever. We're going to have a vast Fluttershy's ass play us out. Thank you, Wooden Toaster. Good night, every pony. Good night. Good night, every pony. Good night, every pony. Tune in next week for Hot Blank and Sweets. You mean...